Hello, this is the second module for the TI Kickstart, and this this module will be on graphing, and we're going to graph a few things and get you to learn how to graph either a line or a nonlinear or a scatter plot, and show you what it looks like. So, the main keys I'm going to be working with here are these keys up here where it says graphing, or not graphing, but at the top of the at the very top of your keyboard. There are five, and these are pretty basic on all the TIs. Um, and I've already got a function in here. This is f of x is equal to negative, let's see what it is, negative 9x squared. Now, while we're at this screen, let's go ahead and click on that screen, and I'm going to clear this because I don't want to worry about it. I'm going to get that out of there. Just hit clear. That takes care of this. Now, at this thing, at this screen, you can go over, if I arrow over, I can change my color and I can change my line. If I want to make the line, let's say I want to make it a different color, then you can go in and make it a different color. You can change it to red, you can change it to black, you can change it to magenta, green. I'm trying to find one that's not being used. Okay, light blue. I don't think light blue is being used. I know yellow's not being used. You can't hardly see yellow. Um, I'm trying to find one. That blue's being used. Okay, it's going back around. So I'm going to go with yellow. No, let's make it black. There we go. And I want to change the line. I want to change it to a dotted line. Okay. And I hit OK. And that is my, okay, let me go down. Sorry. There we go. There. Now, if I draw this line and I move over and I arrow over, and now I type in, use my X key here. I'm going to say X squared. Now, remember in the last video, you could hit this button after you hit X, but I usually don't use this button. I use this button. I use the caret symbol. And I'm also going to type in y is equal to, y squared is equal to 2x. I'm going to type in a 2 and an x. That's a straight line. And now hit the graph button. There's my first line and there's my second line. Now, at this point, you can zoom in, zoom out, you can fix the window. We're going to do all three. Right now, it looks like this X is 1 and this X is 2, and this one out here would be 3. And this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it looks like it goes from negative 12 to positive 12 and from negative 1 to 2 or 3. So if you wanted to go and change that, you hit the window button. And the window button, there it is. So if I want to make my X-min negative 5, I type in negative 5. If I wanted to make my max on the x-axis, oops, sorry, I hit the wrong button. If I want to make my, sometimes I get myself mixed up with the keys because I'm using the key on the keyboard and it's not helping me out. I'm supposed to hit tab or the down. Okay, I don't know what that is. Okay, let's see if this pulls back up. Okay, something happened to our TI. There we go. I don't know what happened. So, okay, what was I doing? I was graphing. So y is equal to, there's my, and I hit graph. And let's say I want to change the window to negative 5. And I arrow down. Okay, something, it's not liking what I'm doing here. Let me hit, I'm trying to get down to that next. That's not working. Okay, I don't know what it's doing. I don't think there's something wrong with my... Maybe I just need to hit enter. Nope. I can't hit tab. -5, enter. 2. Yeah, for some reason I can't get it to move. I don't know what's causing it. It keeps going back to the shift enter. Nope, I'm not having. But anyway, you can change this to -5, +5, and change this from -5 to +5, and it'll make the graph a little bit bigger. Now I changed the X-min to -5, and when I hit graph, it's going to graph it again, and well, evidently -5 was already set there. Let me hit window again. It didn't change it. So if I want to type in -5 and then hit graph, there it goes. Now it changed it, so now you can see further to the left. And if I wanted to zoom in, zoom box, and I wanted to zoom in a certain area, there's 2 ways you can do it. One is by using the zoom box feature, and put the left hand corner of your box, hit enter, and then open up a box as big as you want it. I'm going to get the 2 intersections in there and hit enter. And now it'll just blow up that box. Now let's say you wanted to find out what this point was where it intersects and what this point is. Well, then you would hit shift or second, I call that shift button, and hit calculate and hit intersect. Of course, it's going to ask you if your first curve is black curve, and you say yes, hit enter. Second curve is the red curve, hit yes. And then they're going to ask you for a guess. Now, the reason they ask you for a guess is to kind of narrow the territory where you're looking. In other words, it's telling the calculator, okay, it's around the origin. So instead of looking all over the picture, we're going to focus around the origin and hit enter. And there is your intersection, 0, 0. Well, what if you want to find this one up here? Well, you hit second function, calculate or trace, and go down to number 5 or hit 5. And first curve. Well, I'm gonna look see where this thing is because I can't see it. It's on the origin right now. Okay, we're on the black curve. See? So I'm gonna hit enter because that black curve is the first curve. Red curve is the second one, or red line. Now my guess is gonna be up here instead of down here. So I'm gonna move over to the right a little bit. Get it near where I think it is, right in there, and hit enter. Give it a second to calculate, and there is your intersection up here, 2 and 4. So if you want to find the intersection points, you can do that. And what if you want to find the vertex? Well, let's draw another picture. Let's go to y is equal, and I'm going to just take these 2 out. And I'm just going to graph y is equal to x squared. Or y is equal to, let me change this. Y is equal to x minus 2 quantity squared plus 3. And hit, okay, something's wrong. It's supposed to be x minus 2. I must not have hit x, I'm sorry. X, insert, so I'm going to hit second function, insert, minus There we go. X minus 2, quantity squared plus 3. And hit enter. Oh, I'm sorry, hit graph. All right, there's my graph. And I want to find the vertex, which is your lowest point right here. So I take my handy dandy calculator and I hit Shift, Trace, which is calculate. And I'm going to find the minimum. Or, yeah, the minimum. Oops. And it's going to ask for left bound. And you can make it go a little bit. You know that the vertex, you know that the vertex is in here because it's your lowest point. So let's put the locator on the left side right about there and the locator on the right side and let it find the vertex right in here versus all of this line. So when you're doing a left bound and a right bound, you're basically telling the calculator it's in this area. So it won't have to go looking. So I'm going to just stop right in here. I'm going to hit enter. And I'm going to put a right bound just to narrow it down. Enter. And then my guess, well, it looks like it's pretty, again, this is just to narrow it down. Enter. And the vertex is 2 and 3. 2 and 3. That's your vertex. That's your lowest point. What if I wanted to calculate x-intercepts? Well, you can do the same thing there. Y is equal to, and we'll change that to x minus 2. Oops. Oh, well, that was smart. All right, y is equal to, well, I could probably, no, I better not. Let's just redo it. X minus 2, close parenthesis, raised to the second power, minus 4. That's your vertical shift. And hit graph. There. Now I'm going to hit, now let's say you can't see it. If you can't see it, go to zoom, and there's two things you can hit. Zoom standard, which is 6, or go down and hit zoom, I think it's 0, zoom fit. If you hit zoom standard or zoom fit, it's going to give you a better look than this one that I pulled up right here, because this one is remembering, this graph is remembering my last parameter set with the zoom box, and it's using that same parameter. So I need to change that, and I like to use zoom fit because zoom fit does a little bit better than zoom standard. See, zoom fit does not give us the other x-intercept. So I go back and I hit zoom standard. Zoom and then 6. And see, this time it shows both x-intercepts. Well, let's say that you want to find the first one. Well, you go to second, trace, which is calculate, and I want to find the 0. That's what the x-intercepts are. Y is equal to 0. So I hit that, enter, and then I move to the left a little bit to set my left bound, hit enter, and move right for the right bound, and then I back up, and it's around there, and it's supposed to be the origin 0, 0. And there it is, 0, 0. What if you want to find the other one? You do the same thing, go second, trace, which is calculate, and hit 0, 2, and go over to the other side. My left bound, and you can set it anywhere where you're to the left of the point, right there. And my right bound, right in there somewhere. And the guess, looks like it's crossing the x-axis, probably somewhere right in there. Give it a second, and there is your x-intercept, 4 and 0. And that's how you use the graph. So let's graph some more. Let's graph y is equal to x cubed. Y is equal to x cubed. And delete. And hit graph. And that's what the graph looks like. And let's say you want to do y is equal to the absolute value. Well, how do you do absolute value, Hubert? Well, you hit math and you go over to numbers and hit abs, number 1, and type in x. That's the absolute value of what? X. And hit graph. And there's the absolute value of x. So this is a great little tool, and this is a tool because right now you're finding out what this is used for. It's to use to speed up the process of graphing, not to do it for you. Now, there are some complex numbers complex functions that are hard to graph by hand, and yes, that's when you need to use a calculator. So let's do another one. What is the difference between the function of x cubed and x to the 7th power? So you type in x cubed, and that would be your basic model. And then you would type in x to the 7th. And let's see what the differences are in those two graphs. You're going to see a difference in the bottom of the graph. X to the 7th. And graph. So here is x cubed and x to the 7th. See? Around the bottom, it starts to square off. So you could apply to this and, write it in your notes. You could say that x, excuse me, is if x is a odd number, it's going to look like the black line. But the higher the odd exponent gets, the higher it gets, the more this line right here starts to square out. Sometimes it'll go up and then it'll go down, and it'll start the higher the. It has a lot to do with the degree of the polynomial. So this is a good way to see it on a graphing calculator. You can graph the sign. So y is equal to the sine of x. Type in x, then close parentheses. And then you can also type in what the difference is between the sine of x and what the difference is of the sine of 4x. And now you can actually see what's happening with the 4x and the x, if I could ever get it typed in. And hit enter. That is the sine of x. Now what happens to the sine when you put a coefficient in front of it? It compresses it along the x-axis. So it starts right here, and the black line is out here, and this thing's going and the higher the coefficient gets, the more compressed this gets, the red line gets. Okay, so one more. Let's do one more. Let's say let's put sine, and then I'm going to put of 8x. And watch what happens. This will be, we got to change that to magenta so you'll see it. Let's go over here and change it to magenta. There we go. And graph. And see, it compresses it even more. Still goes through 0, but it compresses it. The red line is 4x. The magenta line is 8x. In other words, it's compressing it even more. And you can tell these kind of things with the graph and being able to see the graph, to be able to see it right quick. That helps out tremendously, especially in algebra and calculus. You can also do the log. You can do the natural log. You can do x squared by itself. You can do all kinds of things when it comes to graphing. Now, that's graphing algebraically, and that's fine. You just plug it in x and y's. But what if you do a scatter plot? Well, how do you do a scatter plot? Excuse me. To do a scatter plot, you'll be probably in probability and statistics anyway. Let me get out of this. Second, quit. better quit. And let's say that you're in Math 120 or probability and statistics, and they tell you to make up a set of data, and then they want the mean and standard deviation of that data, or whatever the case may be, or they want you to plot it first. Well, let's go to Stat and edit again, hit enter, and it's just like a spreadsheet. Let's say that you're going to put in test scores. All right. Let's say you made a 75, 80, an 80, an 85, a 90, an 88, a 90, a 92, 78. Well, I'm putting them in order, so we don't need a 78. I'll make that a 98, and then a 98, and then a 99. All right, there is your data. Now let's say I want to do a scatter plot. Well, you take your handy dandy calculator and you hit the second, y is equal, and turn the plot on. You hit the button, hit enter, and then you turn it on, and there's you can put a bar graph, you can put a line graph, you can put a scatter plot, you can put box plot, or you could just make a line graph just like this one. And hit graph. I didn't like that. Probably because I hadn't got a second dimension in there. We'll do that in a minute. So, stat. Go to stat. Probably something I forgot to do. Let's go to first variable statistic and hit that. And it's reading L1, good. So you go down and calculate it. There it is. There's your values. Your mean is 88.5. The summation of your x's is 885. And your variance is, your standard deviation is 8.46. And your 5-number summary is below. You just keep going down. There's your 5-number summary. And after that, you can actually do a scatter plot. You'd have to go to stat. And I think, no, go to scatter plot up here. Go to second, stat plot. And number 1, on, and we're going to do that one, L1 and L2. I think it's because I haven't done L1 and L2. Yep, that's what it is. I haven't done L1 and L2. And you can do that. You can put L2 in there. But most of the time, let me do that again. Math. Okay. Oh, 1, quit. Stat plot. Second, stat plot. And 1. The reason it don't like it is because I don't have an L2 list. Okay, we make L2 equal study hours. And we'll go through and change. Go to stat, edit, and I'm going to put study hours right here. So you studied for an hour here, an hour there, an hour there, an hour and a half, hour, 30 minutes, hour, 2 hours, 2 hours, 2.5, and 3. Now, hit Statplot and hit 1 and L1 and L2. Yep, that looks good. That looks good. And graph. Oh, we still got the sine curve in there. We got to take that out. How in the world did that get in there? Huh. All right. Let's go to Statplot again. Let me go to y is equal. Maybe that's what's messed us up. Yep. Okay, just hit clear, clear, clear. Stat. I'm sorry. Y is equal. And we're going to delete that. Delete that. And delete that. Second Statplot. 1 and graph. And it should plot them, so I'm going to hit zoom and I'm going to put 10 or 0. Alright, let's go to zoom back, zoom out 3, enter. Zoom out. There's your plots. So, do a zoom box. And we're going to go over to right there, hit enter. And enter. And there's your dot plot, your scatter plot. And that's how you use the, now if you wanted to find the line, then go ahead and hit stat, calculate first variable statistic of F1, and hit enter. And there they are. There's your numbers. 5 number summary. Looks good. And that's how you use it with graphing, either algebraic equation, or if you're graphing a scatter plot. Okay, if you want to find something, you can trace it. You can go in and find where it crosses the other graph. You can go in and find out where the x-intercepts are. Where the x-intercepts are. You can go in and find all kinds of things using the trace button and the calculate button. You can zoom in and out with either the window button or the zoom button. You can go in and change the size of the weight, the size and weight of the line, the color of the line, all kinds of nice things you can do with the graphing utility on the TI-83 or 84. Okay, so that's the start. That's the if I wanted to put in the sine or 2x, I could put that in, and it would still have. Now, if you wanted to turn one more thing, if you wanted to turn the stat plot off, you hit stat plot and just turn it off. Hit 1 and then turn off. And when you turn that off, then you can go back to your algebraic graphing. And I can't see it. I'm zoomed out too far, so I'm going to hit zoom 0. There's your line. of 2x. Okay. So I hope this helps you get familiar with the graphing calculator as far as how to graph. It helps out tremendously as long as you know how to graph. And like I said, these several keys up here, 5 keys, help you tremendously with graphing. So I hope that helps.